So we're just going to talk a bit about the continuation application today and kind of answer as many questions as we can, and then just kind of outline the expectations and whatnot. So in the chat, I'll drop it again, but you should find a zip folder with all of the continuation application materials. We'll also send it out via email after this. So just want to acknowledge how we have the funding. So as we mentioned in February, we received that no cost extension of our larger grant. So that larger grant is focused on health disparities among high risk and underserved populations. So through that being continued, both MDHHS Office of Equity and Minority Health, along with our partners at MPHI, we are able to continue funding the backbone organizations and their health equity councils. So we are very excited about that. Important dates. So we're releasing the application today. We'll just kind of go over the application components. If there are questions that you didn't think of to ask during this time, that's all right. Feel free to email or call in any of your questions between now and April 7th. And then we're just asking folks to submit their application by the end of the day on the 14th. And that new project period will be June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024. So we wanted to keep the application pretty light. So we're just asking for a pretty brief project narrative, and then the budget with kind of your justification for those line items, along with a new work plan. So we'll talk a bit about each of those components. So we have the project narrative. We don't expect this to be super long. We just want to hear more about your continued efforts to act as a backbone agency for your council, how you see yourself able to support the success and priorities of the council going forward. And then we have a budget and narrative piece. So still asking folks to submit that same budget template that you saw last time around. The only difference is just to make sure that we are able to allocate funds appropriately. We are asking folks to break that budget in between June 1st through September 30th of 2023, and then picking up October 1st through May 31st, just so that we are able to, write our amendments and new contracts appropriately, and make sure that we're able to allocate the funds. So this time around, we didn't set a floor or ceiling, so think intentionally around your activities and associated costs for your work. And then we provided a work plan template. So, provide an overview of your goals, objectives, and associated activities for June 1st through May 31st for the upcoming project year. And I can pull up that application as well. But in the meantime, I'm just going to let folks ask any questions that they have.
Will all the reporting timelines stay the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Lindsay. I have a question on in the narrative, now that this extension is another year, it is, I'm assuming, okay to add additional activities that hadn't been part of our original application?
Yeah, as long as they're in alignment with your overall goals, focused on mitigating COVID disparities and kind of some of those upstream ties that may be associated, that's perfectly fine.
Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
So I'll drop it back in the chat, but this is what the continuation application document looks like for folks. Oh no. So a lot of this language will seem rather familiar from your last time going through this process. And then we made it a fillable form, so you should be able to add in, your organizational and contact information, selecting your region, all of that. And then we gave some space for project narrative. And then again, just the reminders around the budget and work plan pieces. So you'll submit everything to me. If you don't have my email address by now, I don't know how that could have happened, but I'll drop that in the chat as well. There we go.
So my question has to do with the funds from the original budget period
Yeah.
that ends in May 31st. So is your expectation that we'll spend those funds down before the 31st, or can those be extended through this new project period?
To utilize any funds that you don't think you'll be able to spend.
Right. And we're just running into issues with some of our funds in terms of getting it out in the community for implementation that might extend beyond the 31st of this year. So I just kind of want to see how we handle that piece. If we can go beyond the 31st for the expenditure of those funds, or you're still expecting those funds to be expended by the 31st of this year.
Danielle, you want me to answer that one?
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. So Brian, that is a really great question. And so here's going to be my rule of thumb on that. We would hope, right, that you can expend as much of that original contract that you can by the original expiration date. If that is not the case, because you're going to have a new contract that will extend through the fiscal year through September, we can probably, be able to put that into that contract. So you would have until the end of the fiscal year, which would be the end of September, which would be the first contract, because we're going to break this into two pieces because fiscal year ends for us in September, and then new fiscal will start October 1. So if you don't spend everything that you currently have, we would probably be able to put that in for the rest of this current fiscal year. We'd like to avoid that if possible, but understand that that's probably a reality, specifically because we got a late start, so there was a lot of shuffling that had to happen sort of in the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Ethan. That makes sense.
So since I'm talking, I just want to share, we are really elated at the work that's happened in this particular piece of this project. It has been a labor of love for us. And really, it's great because, you could sort of conceive these things and you do all this work, to get this off the ground, and then for it to come to fruition and really be as awesome as it has been thus far. It's just really a testament to the fact that we did this the right way and got the right folks, right? And, that there's a need for these efforts. And so I want to be 1,000% transparent with you. I've tried to do that the entire way. We don't see this as a short-term initiative. The state of Michigan, specifically the Office of Equity and Minority Health, does not see this as a short-term initiative. That being said, I can't guarantee, the ability for us to continue to find funds to fund it. So we're going to do the things that we can do to continue to find funding support for these efforts. We're also, trying to be diligent about sharing other funding opportunities with you all that we think could help you fund these efforts. But we do want to see this be a long-standing thing. We didn't take all this time to build this infrastructure, for it to be the short-term, one-time, situation. So we really try to be mindful about that as we really develop this initiative. So hopefully we'll be able to keep coming back to you and saying, let's do this thing again. So, we hope that you all are enjoying the work and thinking of other ways that we can do this work. Also thinking about, as Danielle mentioned, those upstream factors, right? We know that social determinants drive a lot of what's happening or what happened in communities in response to COVID. So we really want to be mindful of how those things sort of interact and what we can do as we keep this effort going to really mitigate some more of those systemic factors. That's my soapbox speech for today. That's all I got.
Yeah, this is great news. I didn't mean to just ask a question, like a business question, but I do appreciate your work to identify additional funding for this and to work on that continued application. So yeah, this has been an amazing project. We've loved working with you, and we're just happy to be able to continue it. So we appreciate all of your efforts.
I appreciate that, Brian. We really do work hard trying to make these things happen. And also I know that, we make people uneasy sometimes because, as we're working on, funding streams and trying to pull together opportunities and, make things happen, we sometimes can't share, everything that we really are sort of doing behind the scenes. But we appreciate your patience with us as we keep trying to keep this thing going.
What other thoughts, questions, comments do folks have?
It's like
Right.
dead silence, but I will say congratulations, everyone. I put that in chat. Everyone, sitting on those peer groups, I was like, wow, like blown away. So congratulations to not just the cohorts, but to the team as well for leading and guiding. So yeah, this is good news. So awesome.
Thank you for that, Jason. It's definitely good news. We're hoping to continue to bring you good news. I'll say we've definitely got a lot of attention nationally for what's happening with these councils. We don't brag on our team much, but I am going to take a moment and brag on our team a little bit. We've been invited to present at several different conferences. Danielle's slate is full right now. Because people are really interested in what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it. So, we'll be presenting at right now, I think 3 national conferences. We've been invited to submit a couple abstracts for 2 additional. And so we're trying to make the rounds for the same reason of going, great, you like this, now give us money. So, we're hoping to be able to really keep it, going long term. And the work that you all do makes it easy for us to be able to convince other people that this is a great idea.
Are there plans to continue the convenings amongst all the councils? Because I thought that was very valuable.
That's a really good question. We're absolutely going to do that with some tweaks, because we've been also researching other ways to give you more opportunities to connect with each other and ways that we can actually bring you some additional TA resources. Because originally we had kind of a set standard of TA resources we were looking at. Danielle has really worked hard to find some additional things to bring to you. So we've got a lot that'll be coming to you as a part of the next sort of cycle year in terms of those partnership opportunities, collaborations, and some additional really cool TA opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nicole, once we have kind of those bigger dates, we will send them out. Just have to look across a smattering of calendars to find some dates that look good for the next year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm. Anything else? Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And then if you have any other questions, feel free to either stay on or email me, call me, carrier pigeon, whatever.
Also, any questions that you have not related to what we just shared with you, but if you have any other questions, issues, concerns, something just burning in your back pocket, really great idea, or even like the random ideas that we're not really sure is an idea, like we'll take those too, because sometimes those turn into our best ideas ever. You all are really quiet early in the morning, so maybe we should move our meetings to early morning. This group usually has a lot more to say. I feel a little uneasy.
That daylight savings
Quiet.
time really did us all in. We're not doing great with that.
I can see that. I can see that. That makes sense. We are used to seeing you all like in the afternoons though. So this is like a weird feeling right now. And of course, Kiri just said, she anticipates more questions as you dig in. Absolutely, as you dig in, if you have other questions, feel free to reach out. Danielle is, always available to support you. The rest of our team, we try, but we're not as good at getting back to folks as Danielle is. So definitely lean on Danielle and she'll lean on the rest of us. But we really do look forward to sort of seeing where we can go with this and what comes next. And we tried to make the continuation very uncumbersome, which is why we made it like a fillable, just pop in your answers, attach your budget, your work plan, and, it shouldn't be as difficult as we think.
Yes.